Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Wilma. So last week I think I did a video on PCOS. Okay, I did a short on PCOS, and I promised that I would actually share my story. So in this video I'm going to share my story. So in 2017, by then my husband and I had been married for about 4 years, and no baby was coming. There was no baby happening, so we decided to go for a medical checkup and see if everything was okay. Now I remember walking into the doctor's office, and after all the diagnostics, he was like, "Whew, your wife has PCOS." I was like, I reject it in Jesus' name, because by then I knew what PCOS was, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. If you're hearing it for the first time, that's what PCOS means. And basically the symptoms were, had a lot of facial hairs. You can still see I have a few facial hairs. I didn't have an imbalanced ovulation, but then I had a few how will I put it, I had a few issues. So one of them, I had very painful periods. Okay, so even I remember a different facility that we went to, they actually thought I had endometriosis, so I was scheduled to do some labs to check if I actually had endometriosis. So another thing was that most of the time I'll find myself bloating just a little bit, with a little heaviness around my lower abdominal area. I would also find that I was really stressed most of the time, and so obviously it also wasn't helping much. I have different symptoms at different times, honestly. Some people have or they gain rapid weight. Some people have a lot of acne. I dealt with acne many years ago, and when he said I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, I wasn't really having acne at the time. But what this means is that for some people, you are bleeding all right, but you may not necessarily be ovulating. So, well, he did not go into details, honestly, so I don't actually know, because right then, the way I rejected it, he may not even have had confidence to go into detail. But yes, so what he said was that polycystic ovarian syndrome really has no cure. Okay, and everybody has different symptoms depending on what you are going through. These are mine. Really, there wasn't much, but then I would just not get pregnant. I had a few pains during ovulation, especially at my sites where the ovaries are, and there were times too that I would just have this fluctuation of hormones. I could be happy, the next minute I'm very angry, and it was all over the place. So he said what can help me would be, one, diet changes or lifestyle changes, which I shared in the earlier video. So I started eating well. I started eating more greens, more smoothies, things like the contumely. I started eating a lot of vegetables. I started exercising. I started walking. Every dawn I'll take walks and things like that. And then he also asked that the stress levels reduce. So I think that same year I had even resigned, if I remember correctly. I think I had just resigned because it was all added up to the stress. Oh my God, I was so stressed. So stressed. So he said stress does also not help at all when you are dealing with PCOS. And I think the final thing that I also did was, which is actually for me the first thing I did, was to see the gynecologist. Okay, so right after that was a homeopathic hospital. So right after that, we also tried gynae, or an actual fertility clinic, for support. And honestly, the story is so amazing. When we went there, we didn't even have to do much. The labs that were recommended, because I was still doing all the things I was doing, eating well, checking myself, checking my stress levels, and doing all those things. By then, when we went, the labs we were required to do, something came up. We had a funeral and we had to go. When we came back, my husband also got sick, and the rest is history. 3 weeks after his surgery, miraculously, I conceived. Now, one thing I should also add is that when I went for the funeral, I also went to another homeopathic, and I went for detoxification of my system, which also helped me greatly, because he also noticed the same PCOS, so I did detoxification. And the final thing when we came back to Accra, I was still doing, some form of cleansing after the surgery. Not that I didn't have the surgery, it was my husband, but around that time I was taking this mix of cloves, ginger, tiger nuts, and just brewing it as tea and just drinking. And I mean, in that season, I did different things, but one of the things I also did that helped, we were asked to frequently have intimacy, and it also helped a lot. That was the advice when we went to the fertility hospital. That was the advice, every other day as much as you can. So yeah, that's my story, and today I sit here with two beautiful, adorable babies, a boy and a girl, and I pray that my testimony encourages you. PCOS, listen, man says PCOS has no cure, but God has a cure. It is God who ultimately gives the blessing of children. So take the condition to him and tell him what you want to see, and watch him work a miracle in your life. Hope this video blessed you. Let me know in the comment section, do you have PCOS? How have you dealt with it? Let's share in the comment section, and let's encourage other people who are also on this journey to find some form of relief, that they are not alone, and to try certain remedies that has worked for you and me. See you, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.